Hi, this is Leonard from Master Sprinter TV. Today we're going to talk about how modern diets can adversely affect athletic performance. So what we're going to kind of focus on is just a select group of foods and drinks that we kind of at least need to limit in quantity so they're not creating a constant stress on our system. I'll start off with kind of your artificially flavored drinks, which would include your diet sodas. Then we want to kind of move on to say kind of foods that are made of refined processed flours, such as breads, cereals, bagels, pretzels, crackers, things of that nature. Then kind of your prepackaged deli meats, your canned soups, and then lastly kind of your granola or energy bars. And again, these are things that in very limited quantities are not going to be problematic, but it's just if it becomes kind of a foundation of a diet, that's when it becomes a little more problematic. So what's concerning about having these sort of foods that we mentioned earlier becoming kind of a foundation of a diet is that generally they're ultra processed. They have a kind of a high glycemic load. They have a lot of artificial sweeteners, can lead to increases in appetite, poor hydration. Have a lot of additives, preservatives, or emulsifiers. Kind of have a low micronutrient value. And then what we'll get into momentarily is they can lead to chronic inflammation. Now, I don't want to scare you with a long list of issues, but I think you should be at least aware of some of the complications that can result from chronic inflammation, which is the result of a kind of a diet that has too much of a foundation of highly processed foods. This would include reduction in mobility of your hips and ankles, slower recovery of type 2 muscle fibers, which results in less explosiveness, reduce in muscle contraction efficiency, which results in less force per step, reduction in tendon elasticity, a loss of coordination and running mechanics, an increase in tension, which results in deceleration, increased fatigue due to the glucose spike and subsequent insulin response, more difficult recovery from workouts, increased in muscle soreness, poor nutrient absorption, joint discomfort, gastrointestinal distress, and an increase in injury risk. And then as well, if you're having a lot of calorie-dense foods, it can increase body fat, which is going to adversely affect your acceleration and max velocity speed. So it is quite common in modern society that we kind of have a tendency to grab what's quick and easy to get access to, or we don't have to spend time preparing foods, cooking them, and so forth. And so that's why we have there's a tendency sometimes to rely on highly processed foods, but we at least need to be aware of some of the health implications, the athletic performance implications, and not let those kind of highly processed foods become the foundation of our diet, because they do have potential issues, particularly when it comes to athletic performance. So, until next video.